Hello everyone, and welcome to my brand new playthrough on the video game Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven is a video game adaptation of the board game of the same name. The idea was that basically all the elements of the board game should be simulated, so as far as I know there should be like identical rules, identical everything. The board game has this campaign you're going through. This is still in development, but they have this Guildmaster mode, and from the little bit that I played it, it's well, pretty much the same thing. I mean, dungeons, enemies, I guess they are still adding stuff, but from the point of enjoying the actual game and progress, it's pretty much the same. It also has its own progression things going, which are not in the base game. So yeah, it's pretty interesting mode, and let's take a look at it through this playthrough. We're gonna be starting a new adventure. We'll be playing on insane difficulty. The biggest thing that changes between difficulties is that on hard and insane, enemies will be 1 or 2 levels higher than usual. That's quite a big bump, but should be manageable. I played a lot, so yeah, from all the experience from the board game, I should be able to manage. If not, I'll be able to reduce the difficulty to be able to manage it then. On easy, there's also some super extra stuff which makes the game almost trivial, but yeah, it's nice to be there. Okay. I like to go by the name of Neomare actually, so I put the prefix Neo in front of everything. Here we're gonna be called ourselves Neo Guildies. Very imaginative, but yeah. So here, shared gold or split gold. This is still locked, I guess it's the early access thing. So basically all our heroes will share gold. That means they can borrow each other money to buy items, right? In the board game, all the gold is tied to each particular character. It's not a big deal. This actually makes it a bit easier here, but it's not a huge bonus, I'd say. Okay. We can choose full tutorial, story, intro, or quick start. Full tutorial teaches you some very basic things about the game. Story intro goes, I think, to the part where you start unlocking new mercenaries, and then quick start starts you off with chapter 1 with your first official quest where you can pick stuff up and everything. But I want to showcase everything, so we will start with the full tutorial here. I like this game very much, so I'm very excited about actually recording it and sharing with the internets. So I hope I do well, and yeah, first couple of the episodes will be titled with tutorial in the name. This will include all the basic tutorials and quick introductions. So if you're not interested in the tutorial, you can skip ahead to the videos titled with, I don't know, scenario 1 or chapter 1 or something like that. Okay, so here we are. Welcome, Guildmaster. I'm the guild trainer, and I'm here to guide you through setting up your own mercenary guild. Let's start with you guiding the Brute through this first tutorial. So, Brute will be our first class that we have available. I think its race is Inox. They are pretty big, bigger than humans, strong, yeah. Ideal warrior types. Before we get into the action, you'll want to acquaint yourself with how to adjust your view of the battlefield. So let's get over the camera controls. VASD, pan camera, okay. Q and E, rotate camera, okay. Plus minus mouse wheel up down, zoom in, zoom out, okay. You can also rotate the camera by dragging your mouse with the middle mouse button held. Try them out now. Well, we did. Continue when you're ready to move on. In Gloomhaven, you control a party of mercenaries, each equipped with a deck of ability cards. These cards are how your mercenaries will explore dungeons, fight enemies, and loot treasure. At the beginning of each round, the first thing to do is to select 2 cards for each mercenary to use on their turn. In this tutorial, the Brute has just 3 cards at his disposal, as you can see highlighted on the left. Grab and Go, Trample, and Provoking Roar. Okay, so here are the cards. Provoking Roar is grayed out to indicate that this is currently discarded for the sake of the tutorial. So for now, let's just select the 2 cards the brute has available. So these 2 are available, this one is discarded. This question mark here is our initiative. It will change into a number once we select the cards. See how the question mark next to the brute's portrait at the top of the screen has changed into a number? This shows his initiative. The number next to the first card you select determines the character's initiative for this round. The lower the number, the earlier in the round the character will act. Since there are no other characters visible right now, it will immediately be the brute's turn anyhow. Select, grab and go. Alright. Now it's the brute's turn. Time to choose some actions. Each half of a card represents an action comprised of 1 or more abilities. You get to use 2 actions per turn, and you can pick any of the 4 card halves on the left to use as your first action. But note that you must then use the opposite side of the other card for your second. For example, here you can choose either the top half of the trample and the bottom half of the grab and go, or the bottom half of the trample and the top half of grab and go. There's nothing for the brute to do in this room, so you want to proceed through the door to see what lies beyond with a move ability. Grab and go's bottom half lets the brute move 4 hexes, which is enough to get through the door. Let's use that. Okay, we'll use the bottom half here to move. I really like this system, gives a lot of flexibility for your turns, but also not unlimited, so you'll see how it works. It's really nice. So here we choose move 4 and we click on the door to open it. This room contains your first enemy, a bandit guard. Like player characters, monsters also select actions for their turn. Let's find out what this bandit is planning to do this round by hovering over his portrait. Alright, we hover over. Whilst hovered, you can see the bandit's intentions this round. He plans to move and attack. Whereas player characters get 2 actions per turn, monsters only get 1, albeit often with multiple abilities within. So this ability has 2 abilities in it. Notice how this bandit has a lower initiative than the brute, and would have acted before the brute this round had he been visible. As it is currently the brute's turn, however, you'll get to finish his turn before the bandit can act. Let's get the brute close enough to use the attack on trample's top half as the second action for the turn. So if we had more characters, it's quite possible that this bandit would go before the rest of our party, if it has better initiative than them, but you are always allowed to finish the turn to its entirety when you open a door, regardless if the revealed enemies have lower initiative than you. Like in this example, they have lower initiative than us, but we have to finish our turn first. Okay, so we're gonna finish our move to get close to the bandit here. Now that you finished using grab and go for the turn, it is discarded and no longer usable until you return it to hand via resting. More on that later. For now, time to attack. Okay, so we select the top card of the other half. We cannot select the bottom half because we use the bottom of the other card. So you always use 1 bottom and 1 top. Whenever you attack, an attack modifier is drawn from your character's modifier deck and that value is applied to your attack. In this case, you can see above the bandit guard that a +0 modifier was drawn, so your attack still just deals its base value of 3 damage. For this tutorial, we will only have +0 modifiers in effect to keep things simple. We'll explore the other attack modifiers later. Click and turn to continue. Now it is the bandit's turn. As we saw on his card earlier, he tends to move and then perform a melee attack for 3 damage. However, as he is already within melee range of the brute, he will simply forgo moving and get straight to the attack. Ouch! While monsters always take damage directly to their hit points, whenever a player character is damaged, you are presented with 3 options. Firstly, you can simply take the damage to your character's hit point total. However, if this is reduced to 0, this character is exhausted, which means they can no longer act in this scenario. If all of your mercenaries are exhausted, you will lose this scenario. Secondly, you can choose to burn 2 discarded ability cards instead of receiving the damage. If you burn a card, it can no longer be recovered by resting. However, if you were to burn 2 of the brute's cards here, he would not have enough cards left for the following turn, and thus would be exhausted. Finally, you can choose to burn 1 available card. This option is grayed out as all of the brute's cards are currently discarded. It is usually wise to take the damage over burning cards if possible, lest you run out of cards to finish the scenario with. For now, let's opt to just take the free damage as the brute has enough health to survive. Okay, I'm gonna listen to the tutorial and take free damage. The bandit's turn is now over. As he was the last character to act, it is the end of the round, and a new round begins. During ability card selection, if you have at least 2 discarded cards, then you may perform a long or short rest to recover some of them. All of the brute's ability cards are currently discarded. Long rest doesn't count as a card, and as such he will have to rest to continue. Short rest will burn 1 of your discarded cards at random, losing it for the rest of the scenario, but will recover all other discarded cards before continuing your turn as normal, so you can recover cards to use immediately in this very turn. Long rest takes up the whole turn, and it is used instead of selecting 2 ability cards, giving the character an initiative of 99. However, you do not only get to choose which card to burn instead of it being at random, but the character will perform a heal 2 action and refresh all of item cards. Choosing to long rest here would be certain that if the bandit draws an attack card for the round, as the brute has neither health nor cards to spare, so let's choose to short rest. Okay, we'll be showcasing long rests later, so let's do the short rest for now. Okay, here, Grab and Go has been randomly selected as the card to burn. Once per short rest, you can opt to redraw the random card to burn at the cost of 1 damage, but with the brute only at 1 health, this isn't an option. You can see Grab and Go is now dark red to indicate it is burned and no longer usable in the current scenario. In exchange, Trample and Provoking Roar have been returned to the hand and are available to be used again. Both the Brute and the Bandit are near death, so it is crucial to go as early as possible in the round to get the first attack. Remember, the first card you choose determines the Brute's initiative, so let's choose Provoking Roar to maximize the chance Brute is up first with a low initiative of 10. Okay, I'm gonna use Provoking Roar and then Trample. Now that we are in the same room as the bandit, we can see the enemy draws their ability cards each round after the players. So you won't know what they'll be doing or what their initiatives will be until this point in each round. It appears the bandit was planning to once again use a move and attack, but because he chose to act quickly with an initiative of 10, he won't have those active until after the brute's turn, due to a slower initiative of 50. Let's get him. Okay, here we're gonna attack for free again and finish off the enemy. Got him. Do you see that gold on the floor that the bandit left behind? To pick it up, you need to use a loot ability. One important rule of Gloomhaven to bear in mind is that you don't automatically loot treasures unless you finish your turn on it. If you want it, make sure to pick it up before the scenario ends. Loot abilities can also appear on ability cards, but the easiest way to collect it here is to end your turn on the hex that contains the gold pile. So let's move the brute onto it before the end of his turn with his remaining action. But wait, look at Provoking Roar. It doesn't have a move ability on the bottom half's action. So how can the brute reach the gold? This is where default actions come in handy. To the left and right of the central initiative value are 2 small default action buttons. These allow the character to perform a melee attack for 2 instead of the top action, or a default move of 2 instead of the bottom action. Okay, so this is the default one. Since it's bottom half of the card, we can use it to move for 2. If we had the top card of the active, then we would be able to attack for 2. So attack 2 and move 2 are basic actions, usually weaker than the top and the bottom, but those are the ones you can almost always somehow use. Okay. Since you only need to move 1 hex for the brute to reach the gold, we can skip the remaining movement using the skip button below. So you can use move like partially, you don't have to use everything if you don't want. Great work! Not only did you vanquish the lone bandit guard, you've even managed to pick up a few pieces of gold. With the basics covered, it is now time to introduce you to some slightly more dangerous scenarios. Welcome to your first training mission. You've learned the basics, but now you must help the gravely wounded brute deal with a bandit archer elite, a stronger enemy with greater stats than normal. With only a single hit point remaining, any amount of damage getting through will cause the brute to become exhausted. As such, you will have to avoid any incoming damage by burning cards. For the sake of training, the attack modifier dex will be all zeros for now, so don't worry about those for now. Well, +0. Your objectives to start are: take down the archer with a single attack, loot the gold she drops. Surely you can handle that. Okay, we need to kill it with a single attack, so we have 4 abilities here. This one deals 4, this one deals 3, this one deals 6, this one deals nothing. So here, and on the bottom we have a move, attack for 2. So this is the only one which can kill it. And let's try to go as fast as possible. That's usually the rule of the thumb if you're low on HP. So you can kill the enemy before it attacks, so you don't lose anything. Here you see, first I chose the overwhelming assault, so our initiative is 61. I don't like that, so I'm just gonna click this shield bash once more here on the circle. So I'm like, I chose this one first. There we go, now it's 15. We're gonna end the selection here. Okay, this is pretty much scripted. They go a little bit faster than we ever could. So they'll attack first. They will move for 1 if they can. They will attack for 2 at the range of 3 and put a trap in the adjacent empty hex closest to the enemy, so either here or here. They drew 2 modifiers because they are in melee range of us, so they get disadvantage on attacks, which means they have to draw 2 cards and use the lesser one. Okay, so here we cannot receive the damage because that would kill us. We don't have any discarded cards to burn, so we're gonna burn 1 available card. I'll choose this one. I don't think it matters in the tutorial. Okay, so we survived. Now we're gonna use this 6 damage here to kill the enemy. Bosch. Overwhelming Assault is a powerful card, but such power comes at a cost. Actions like Overwhelming Assault stop half with the flaming card icon in the corner cause the card to be burned once used, meaning you can't use it again in this scenario. Time to grab that gold. So this icon here, burnt, denotes that this card will not go to the discarded pile after usage, but rather the burnt pile, from which cards cannot be recovered by resting, but can be by certain recoverabilities. So burning cards, it's a fast way to lose all the cards and to lose the scenario that way. But if you're in a desperate situation, then, or very safe situation where you're sure you're gonna finish without problems, you can burn the cards as much as you want. So here again we can use the default action of move 2 to pick up this gold here. I'm gonna skip the rest of the movement and end the turn. Good job! With no enemies left and your objectives complete, the scenario normally would have ended already, leaving that chest behind. However, for the sake of training, I'm going to set you another objective: loot the chest. Before you rush headlong into that trap, you might want to heal up first. I'd suggest taking a long rest which will let you heal 2 and recover enough discarded cards, allowing you to withstand the 2 damage from the trap and reach the chest. Well, trap does 1 damage only, so I don't know what he's talking about. But now we see how the long rest works. If we short rest, we're gonna lose 1 card at random. And then we could pick up the chest, but we only have 1 HP, so we would die on the trap. That's why we're gonna do a long rest here. Okay, long rest will heal us for 2, and we get to choose which card will burn. We also get to refresh all our spent item cards, but we don't have any yet and we didn't learn about them. Oh yeah, this is the modifier deck. So we have only zeros in it, but it can go from -2 to +2, double damage or a miss. Okay, we will burn, I don't think it matters, so let's just burn 1 of them. And the turn. Okay. And now we have to pick up the chest. We choose the abilities. We choose either move or default move action here. We can use the default one. We're gonna get 1 damage from the trap. That doesn't kill us, so we can pick up the chest here. Okay, we select the action here. You can always skip the action if it's not, like if you don't have anything good to do with it. So here we're gonna skip the attack. Boots of Striding. During your movement, add +2 move to a single movement. Oh, those Boots of Striding will come in handy next time you need a little bit extra mobility. Right onto the next part of your training. So you've learned about the basic attack and move abilities, but this time we are going to use some abilities with additional effects. A move action with a jump effect will help you here. Jump allows you to cross tiles containing obstacles or enemies and even move over traps without triggering them, provided you can reach an empty hex to land on. Those Boots of Striding you picked up last time can be used to increase a move ability by 2 hexes. That will enable you to get up close and personal this turn. You don't have the damage to take her out in one go, but if you act fast, you could apply the disarm condition to her before she can attack. Your objective for this first round are: use a jump movement to get across the traps unscathed, disarm the archer before she attacks. Good luck. So this is our best initiative. It's also the ability which we want, disarm. Disarmed characters cannot perform any attack abilities. The disarm condition is removed at the end of the affected character's next turn. So basically, if they can only attack, they will lose out on their damaging action. And the other ability, Leaping Leaf, move free, jump. A move specified as being a jump allows a character to ignore all characters, obstacles, terrain effects, and traps on hexes during their movement. The last hex entered will be treated as if normal move. So you just ignore everything except the tile you land on. So yep, this will be explained later. Okay, so here we're gonna move for free. This is not enough to reach the archer, so here we can use our boots. During your movement, add +2 move to a single movement. It also has a sign with a tapped card. That means it's exhausted for until you do a long rest. So this is how you replenish your cards in long rest. You untap them basically. Okay, we're gonna use the boots. I'm gonna jump here. We cannot jump anywhere else to be in range of the archers, so this will do. The jump has a flying animation, I guess. Okay, skip the rest of the movement, and now we're gonna activate the other half of the other card. This will put a disarm effect on our enemy here, so it will not be able to attack us. We're gonna end the turn here. So you did it. Not only did you get a decent hit in with Provoking Roar, but thanks to the disarm condition you applied, the archer couldn't attack for the turn. She's low on health now, so you should be able to finish her off. Your objective this turn are: kill the archer, jump over the traps, and loot the chest. I want you to achieve both this round. So we will do a short rest first. Wait 1 second. Remember that short rest allows you to recover discarded cards to immediately use in this very turn. Long resting, however, takes up the whole turn, and it is used instead of selecting 2 ability cards, giving the character initiative of 99. In other words, not gonna help you win this round. Yeah, so we have to short rest here. Okay, this card we are losing, it's neither jump or fast initiative, so that's a good one to lose, and I think we are on 1 HP anyway, so we cannot redraw. Even if we wanted, that would kill us. Okay, so let's do the same combo again. Gonna disarm and attack for 2. This will kill the archer, and then we're gonna move jumping over these traps to get this chest. Notice we're not gonna pick up this gold because we have to end the turn on it to pick it up, and we want the chest here, so yeah. Minor healing potion. During your turn, perform a heal-free self-action. This means it's usable only once per scenario. It gets burned, destroyed. Yeah. Victory. A rest tab and a jump right onto the chest. Nicely done. That potion will surely be of use in the missions to come. To be a successful Guildmaster, you need to pay close attention to enemy actions and try to plan out your moves around them. Just one simple objective for you this time: don't get attacked. You'll have to start over if an enemy manages to land a hit. You'll need to escape this room by opening the door in front of the brute, but remember that enemies in the next room will also get to act this round. My advice? Act quickly, looking carefully at what actions the enemies are going to take. I've set it up so that you should be able to find a safe place to stand, out of reach from all enemies. Let's see if you can survive. So, let's act fast and let's use as much movement as we can. That's 4. Okay. So, bandit guards are gonna move for 2, so this one can move here and he will cover these spaces. This one will move here or here, so he can cover these and he can go there. Well, this is covered by an archer, so we want to stand on this door, so let's do that, because that's the only safe space for now. The archer will move for 1 and attack for 3 in range of 3, so he moves here or here. He'll be able to 1, 2, 3 attack this square, but not this one. Well, hex. This one here can move for 2 and he covers this 2, so this is the only place safe to stand, so we're gonna skip the movement here. And then we're gonna skip attack since there's nothing to attack here. Okay, archer moves. We are not in range. They move. Okay, excellent. You eluded the enemies in both rooms. Opening a door will always add more enemies to deal with, so make sure you are prepared for that when opening doors in future scenarios. Just one more round of bandit dodging to complete the mission. You'll find it tricky to locate a safe space this time. Perhaps you could try preventing an attack to survive. So we need to prevent the attack. That will be with provoking roar. We're gonna do a short rest here, so we get provoking roar back. Well, luckily enough, or scriptingly enough, we didn't discard it for our burn here. Okay, now we're gonna use provoking roar and leaping cleave. Archer moves for 2, they move for 2. So as long as we move for 2 away from all these enemies and disarm this one, we should be safe. So let's do exactly that. Gonna move here. And we're gonna disarm this enemy so it cannot attack. And yeah, that should be it. Victory. Excellent stuff. You're well on your way to being a professional. And how about that disarm? A pretty powerful condition, eh? That and a nice low initiative of 10 makes Provoking Roar a real nifty card for getting out of nasty scrapes. Yeah, it's a great card. One more test, then I think you'll be ready to start exploring the world and recruiting mercenaries to our guild. Okay. We are ready for anything. Let's talk about attack modifiers. So far in your training, characters have always drawn a +0 attack modifier, meaning their attacks have always dealt the exact damage value specified on the cards. This is not normally the case. In real scenarios, for each attack, the character will draw an attack modifier which influences the damage dealt. This can increase the damage by 1, 2 or double, decrease it by 1, 2 or times 0, which is a miss, or leave the value unaffected as you've seen with a +0. You can see the contents of a character's modifier deck by hovering over any character. Note that unlike player characters, all monsters share a single attack modifier deck. For this training scenario, these archers just have 2 attack modifiers remaining in their decks, ×2 and ×0. We want them to draw ×0 to deal no damage, and we are going to give them disadvantage to ensure that. Range attacks have disadvantage when their target is on adjacent hex. This forces the attacker to draw 2 modifier cards instead of just 1, and the worst result is selected. As these archers only have 2 modifiers remaining, if they attack with disadvantage, they will draw both but be forced to choose ×0 over the ×2 as the worst result, dealing no damage. You can see when disadvantage will apply from the flashing purple symbol next to the health bar. You can only disadvantage one archer here, so kill the other one with a ranged attack. Should be easy, as the brute's attack modifier deck is full of +1s for this mission. You can thank me later. Well, thank you very much. Your objectives are: stand next to one of the archers to give her a disadvantage, kill the other archer with a ranged attack. Okay, so here's our ranged attack, the only one, the brute stack, and we need to move next to other one. Doesn't really matter which one we choose. We can stand here to disadvantage this one, or we can stand here to disadvantage this one. Okay, let's move next to this archer here. This is our modifier deck, it has only +1s, so when we target this one here, we don't have disadvantage because we are not in the melee range of the target we are attacking. If we attack this one, however, we would have disadvantage. Okay, we're gonna attack for free, +1, 4, and kill the archer. Okay, let's end the turn here. So now the bandit archer will go, and it will have to choose ×0. See how she drew both ×0 and ×2 modifiers. Disadvantage forced her to draw 2 attack modifiers and use the worst one. You also saw how your attack with Spear Dagger drew a +1, dealing 4 damage total to take down the other archer. Your final objectives are: kill the remaining archer, loot the chest. So if we hover over the enemy, below the portrait, you can see attack modifiers. That's the deck all enemies share. So right now in the deck there is like a ×2 and ×0, which we already saw, and it got reshuffled, so it has zeros and +1s as well. So here we're gonna short rest. Okay. We will go fast here, like that. Okay, so we can loot the chest and kill the archer with the Spear Dagger. That would usually be like the best way to do it. You can attack now also, it will be disadvantage, but we only have +1s, so it wouldn't matter. But this feels better, so I'll do it like this. And there we go. And we end the turn. We will loot the chest, and that should be it for this scenario. Heater Shield. When damaged by an attack, gain shield 1 for the attack. Also, we can use it more times if we long rest between uses. Victory. Nice, a Heater Shield should help you soak up some damage. You finished your basic training missions. Time to introduce you to other mercs and get you exploring. Great work getting through the basic training missions. Allow me to introduce you to the third member of the guild. He ain't much of a fighter though. Hey, not all of us particularly care to be experts at stabbing people. Oh, please excuse me. Greetings, Guildmaster. I'm the humble merchant of your fledgling guild. I deal with the important aspects of running a guild. In other words, money. Which, might I add, is sorely lacking at the moment. Yeah, of course it is. What you can see right now is the world map. You've probably noticed it looks a bit barren at the moment, and well, I've got some good news and some bad news for you. The bad news is that the realm has been overrun with all manner of unpleasant monsters. Rogue bandits, wandering undead, dark cultists, you name it. The good news is that you're going to help us restore the roots back to other settlements out there, hidden in the fog. Before we can do anything about that, however, we'll need to get some mercenaries on the guild roster. Let's start with actually recruiting the poor old brute who's got himself into a spot of bother. Again. Okay, so here we unlock the world map. We did the basiest of tutorials. We can now choose missions. We only have one to choose. This one will actually add the brute to our guild roster. But I think this is a good point to end the first video. Hope you like it. Again, if you want to skip the tutorials, you can do so by just choosing, like, I don't know, with the number 5, 6 or whatever is the first scenario. And yeah, as always, thank you for watching and have a nice day.